Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video where we've got some serious weather going on at the moment across the British Isles. It's severely cold, brutal cold now across the British Isles. I'll talk you through maximum temperatures that we've got right now at 2:14 in the afternoon, but it is extraordinarily cold day today for so late in the season. I mean, we're at the first day of meteorological spring today. And quite widely, temperatures are still around -3, -4, -5 degrees, which will be an extraordinary freeze in the middle of winter. But to get this so late in the winter, almost at the start of spring, is quite amazing. And we're also seeing blizzards arriving now across the southwest from Storm Emma. We've got a red warning been issued by the UK Met Office for the southwestern part of the country and also into South Wales too. The red warning has been taken away from Scotland, but there's still a lot of snow falling up there, and we're just in for a really bad old time of it over the next few hours. So I'll talk you through everything that's going on in a second. We'll also have a look at weather next week, 10 days. Just say there's going to be a live chat with myself and Quantum talking about the severe cold that we've had and are still having, and the heavy snow and blizzards. That'll be coming up here at Gav's Weather Vids at 6 o'clock. Be for an hour from 6 to 7 o'clock. You'll be able to find the video player here on the homepage at Gav's Weather Vids. But I'll also post it onto our Twitter and Facebook pages, so you'll be able to have a listen there. And you can go to Quantum's YouTube channel as well to have a listen to that. I'll leave a description box. I'll leave a link to that in the description box here with this video. So, a lot going on. Just talk you through the CET. That has been announced now by Hadley for February. We've come out at 2.9, which is our coldest February since 2010. I'll have more on that for you tomorrow, but the coldest February since 2010 has been achieved. I'll show you a couple of pictures. Haven't got time for many pictures today. I'll hopefully show you more in the days ahead. This one was posted yesterday by Scott, and this is from Scotland in the Central Belt, where over a foot of snow have fallen up to yesterday evening. I would have thought there's likely to have been more than that falling actually overnight and through this morning up there. This is from our analogues guru and keeper of the solar tracker, James Ackrill, from Lincolnshire. A very snowy looking scene up there. And this is from posted to Twitter from Gareth Staton in the moorlands in Staffordshire. Again, really snowy old scene going on there. Remember, if you want your weather pics featured in the videos, you can email them to us at gavsweathervids@gmail.com. You can post them to the comment box at gavsweathervids, or you can share them on our Facebook and Twitter page, our social media pages. I'm always happy to feature pictures in videos when we get the chance. As I say, haven't got time to do too many of those today because I've got to rattle through this and get ready for the live event at 6 o'clock. This is the latest observations from XC Weather, and it's extraordinarily cold across many parts of the country at 2:08 this afternoon. Just a few minutes ago, 10 minutes ago from when I'm doing the video. We have a maximum temperature, or I should say the highest temperature is -6 degrees. It's a minimum temperature, but over here in Wales somewhere, I'm looking for it now, I'm not sure where that is actually, but over in Wales somewhere, I saw it earlier on, there's a high temperature at the moment. It's our minimum sort of temperature across the country today, but the highest temperature in one weather observation is at -6 degrees. There we go, it's flashing away down there. So it's down in the West Country now. Liscombe is at -6 degrees. Otherwise, it's still very cold elsewhere, though. Bryce Norton is coming out. Let's get it again. So Bryce Norton, I just saw it a second ago, coming out at -4. Going up to Wellesbourne Airfield, that's coming out at -3. Pershore is still at -3. Birmingham Airport is at -3. Let's have a look at some other places. Cranfield, maximum temperature there of -4. Bedford, -3. Wittering, -3. It's an exceptionally cold day across many parts of the country. Farnborough at -3, even down on the south coast. I mean, we've got St Catherine Point with a maximum temperature of -2. Bournemouth Airport at -4. These are extraordinarily cold temperatures. They would be very cold temperatures even in the middle of winter. If this was January, this would be very, very impressive freezer. But to get this on the 1st of March is quite extraordinary, and I think we are very, very close to breaking our all-time coldest March day here. We've got to be getting very close to it. It's not as bad going up the East Coast. I think we're beginning to draw in some slightly modified air from off the North Sea. So along the East Coast, maybe a little bit of thawing taking place just along the East Coast. But come inland, and it really is brutally cold. Little Rissington, the maximum temperature at 2:08 this afternoon of just -5 degrees, and so it continues with many of these areas and weather stations coming out several degrees below freezing. Quite extraordinary what's happening with the temperatures today. As well as that, we've also got heavy snow continuing. So this is the latest from the weatheroutlook.com. Let's just close you in a little bit so you can have a look at this a bit better. So we've got these heavy snow showers continuing for many northern, eastern parts of Scotland. More persistent snow coming down into northern England. An area of snow, most of it is quite light, but there's an area of snow through Wales, the Midlands, over towards East Anglia. And then this down here, this is the beginnings of Storm Emma, which is already bringing blizzards to the south coast and also down into the Channel and pushing into parts of southwestern England as well. Let's show you the precipitation type, and it looks very impressive. So there's a lot of pink there. Everything that's coming out of the sky at the moment is snow. Ignore those areas just there where it says it's raining. It isn't. That is snow as well. The whole country is getting snow at the moment. And look at this big mass that we've got down here to the southwest. That's going to be bringing, it might bring 30 to 40 centimetres of snow, over a foot of snow, to some parts of South Wales and southwestern England through the course of this afternoon, this evening and overnight. That will be drifting as well. There are going to be huge snow drifts and blizzards as the wind is becoming very strong from the east. It's a strong easterly wind that we've got blasting across the country today. Show you the dew point. You'll see that the dew points are widely still several degrees below freezing, so it's no issues at this stage anyway about rain or snow. It's all going to be snow with a dew point that cold. You'll notice down in the Channel, the dew point is only now at -1 and -2 around the Channel Islands. So that's just a sign that the air is beginning to turn a little bit less cold from France. And by tonight, that could turn down in the very far southwest, talking about Cornwall along the south coast. That could turn some of the snow to rain, and that will be freezing rain, rain that falls onto frozen surfaces and produces a glaze of ice, and can be very lethal weather phenomenon indeed. So these are the severe weather warnings from the UK Met Office. As I said, we've got new red warnings issued. I believe this is the first, or yesterday was like the first red severe weather warning that the UK Met Office issued for snow since 2013, since the blizzards of winter of 2012-2013, and now had two back-to-back, because yesterday we had red warnings issued for parts of the central belt of Scotland, of course. They've come out of that red warning now, and now the red warning is for the southwest of England. So, I mean, there's still a lot of snow falling across Scotland, don't get me wrong. So we've still got yellow and amber warnings widely across Scotland. Also amber warnings for parts of Northern Ireland. Yellow warnings for quite widely across eastern parts of England. But our red warning is actually down here. Let's just run you down a bit lower so you can see that where the red warning is, and it's for like southwestern parts of Wales down into southwestern parts of England, and also possibly extending into the extreme southwest of the Midlands. That's a red warning for wind and for snow. Other places in that area have got an amber warning, which is very significant as well. Let's just read you what the UK Met Office are saying about this red warning. It's very unusual, so to get a red warning. So this is valid between 3 o'clock this afternoon and 2 o'clock tomorrow, Friday morning. It's for wind and snow. They're saying a spell of heavy snow and blizzard conditions is expected. The snow will be accompanied by very strong easterly winds leading to severe drifting. Some places could also see significant ice build up due to freezing rain from late Thursday evening onwards, most likely in the south of the area. Long delays and cancellations of public transport seem highly likely. Some roads are likely to become blocked by deep snow, stranding vehicles and passengers. Long interruptions to power supplies and other utilities are very likely to occur, along with damage to trees and other structures due to heavy snow or ice. This is a very serious weather event that is going to be unfolding in the coming hours down in the southwestern part of the country. If you are at all concerned about your safety, and when you get a red warning, I explained this yesterday, when you get a red warning, you are talking about threat to your life conditions. These can cause fatalities. So when you get a red warning, it's very, very serious. You need to take action. UK Met Office is saying it's an emergency and you need to take action. So if you're at all concerned about your safety, then please check out the severe weather warnings from the UK Met Office. It advises you what you should do in these conditions. Essentially, you've got to stay indoors. Definitely don't drive. Try not to go out at all. And it's going to be pretty bad, I'm afraid, down in the far southwestern part of the country. So good luck for anybody that's watching down there. It's going to be a very, very nasty time of it over the coming few hours. Right, let's extend out a little bit further. So we're going to have a look at the weather for the next week to 10 days. And by the way, myself and Quantum will be talking about this in the live discussion at Gav's Weather Vids from 6 to 7 o'clock this evening. Not sure we'll have a huge amount of time to take questions with that because we're a bit short on time. But we'll go through everything that's happening again at 6 o'clock this evening. Right, extending out beyond the beyond today, tomorrow, and into the weekend, we're going to have a look at weather next week to 10 days. This takes us to around the 10th of March. We've got the 500 millibar height anomaly flow charts. Blue is extrapolating to low pressure, and yellow, orange and red extrapolates to high pressure. So below average heights being centred over the UK and many northwest parts of Europe in the 7 to 10 day time frame, with a blocking feature in the Atlantic and going up to the north. And this is going to place us on the cold side of the jet stream. We're going to be doing something like that with the jet. So although we are going to come out of the freezer over the weekend and into next week, we are certainly not talking about an onset of spring here. We're going to keep, I think, depressed temperatures going through next week. It may even get a little bit colder later on again next week, although we won't go down to the severe cold that we've got at the moment, the brutal cold. We won't see that. But I think you're going to see temperatures staying below average next week. We're going to see it remains quite cold. And it's not totally out of question that we might get more snow later on next week as well, after a bit of a thaw-out over weekend into the start of next week. That's the ECMWF. This is for GFS. It's all looking very similar. So again, essentially the main thing is that jet stream is on a southerly track. So I talked about this in the video yesterday. We've got low pressure going through here. The jet stream is down there. And as long as the jet stream remains there, we're on the cold side of it. And if we start to raise heights in that sort of area, then we're going to start to push Arctic air into these troughs of low pressure. So that's the reason temperatures are likely to stay depressed throughout next week, although not as severely cold as it is this week, but it is likely to stay quite cold next week. And there is the potential, certainly, particularly for northern Britain, but not exclusively so, for more wintry conditions as we go through next week as well. This is the GFS temperature and precipitation graph, ensemble graph, for Edinburgh. We're looking at Edinburgh up in Scotland today. So the red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for Edinburgh. Brutally cold at the moment. Very gradually the temperatures are becoming less cold through to the weekend and the start of next week, but you'll notice still generally coming out below average. The white line here is the ensemble means. That's taking all individual coloured lines of spaghetti, as I call them, and creating a mean line of all those coloured lines. You'll see that for most of the ensembles is coming out underneath the red line. So GFS ensembles are on the cold side for next week, definitely, even if they're not at the sort of extreme freeze-up type levels that we are at the moment. And they're probably at a low enough level, most of these ensembles, to still be producing snow, particularly for the north next week. Precipitation-wise, quite a lot of precipitation coming up. So not only is it going to be cool or even cold, it's also going to be quite unsettled. Surface temperatures for Edinburgh looking like that. So we've got ice days at the moment. It's brutally cold, of course, and only very gradually. This is 10 Celsius here. This is freezing. This is minus 10. And only very, very gradually are we seeing those temperatures becoming somewhat less cold. Even then, we're only talking about sort of 3s and 4s as our maximums, still with risk of night frost. And this just continues really until right the end of the ensemble, when maybe there is a more definitive tick up in the temperature. That's getting through to the middle part of the month. But essentially it's cold, I think, for the first half of March, even if it's sort of a moderated cold compared to what we've got right now. Temperature anomalies a week ahead, going from the 1st to the 9th of March, coming out significantly colder than average. These charts perhaps not quite as cold for the UK as they have been over the past couple of days. So it tells us that the temperatures, although still significantly below average, will not be quite as severe as they have been in the recent days. And precipitation anomalies look like that, still coming out generally above average, so colder than average with above average precipitation. There could be more wintry potential next week. This is how the GFS is looking for Sunday then. We've got low pressure down to our southwest. We're trying to drag up some slightly less cold air into the south, although for Scotland we still remain in those bitterly cold easterly winds. Through to the early part of next week, we just have this low pressure down to our southwest, so it's rather unsettled. It's quite cool, but away from Scotland, that's where it is still in the easterly wind, so it's still very cold there. But for most parts of the country, it's slightly better, and there will be a thaw of lying snow taking place. But into the second half of next week, these low pressures begin to shift over towards the eastern side, which begins to allow colder air to start to return from the north again. So the second half of next week may become colder, albeit not brutally cold, but it may become colder into the second half of next week. And you certainly, with this, because it's an unsettled pattern, you certainly wouldn't be ruling out the risk of some snow. That's how things are looking at, on day 10, so the 11th of March. Still bringing the cold air down from the north. We've got this area of low pressure just here. Don't take the position of this low too literally, but it is engaging with that cold air, and so that could be producing another bout of snow across the country by day 10. Certainly we're not coming out of this cold weather and going into spring anytime soon. ECM looks like that, so it looks pretty cold into the start of next week, albeit a little bit more modified for England and Wales, although Wednesday next week, for example, most parts of the country are still in an easterly wind, so away from the south, it's still pretty cold, really, through the early part of next week. Then this low pressure moves up across the country. That's how we finish up on day 10 with low pressure over top of the UK. I mean, it's not as cold as it is now, but it's certainly nothing to get excited about temperature-wise. It's pretty cool, really, and there would be, particularly for the north, some wintry potential. And then finally, the GEM, the Canadian model, shows low pressure across the southern part of the country on Monday. Those bitterly cold east winds continuing for Scotland. Through the course of next week, we keep those areas of low pressure moving around the country. Still relatively cold looking, really. That's how we go up to day 10. Actually having a go at raising heights over Scandinavia again on day 10, with this ridge pushing up towards it. If you could run on a few days beyond that, it's not impossible we might get wind back into the east. So I'm not seeing any signs of spring here. So we're going to be brutally cold for now. We're going to stay brutally cold in the coming few hours. And, of course, we've got the severe snow and blizzards to contend with as well. Over the weekend, inside of next week, we're going to slowly come out of this freezing cold weather, although it probably remains freezing cold across Scotland into the start of next week. Elsewhere, we should slowly start to turn things less cold, but don't think we're talking about going back to mild or spring-like weather. And then through next week, it looks pretty cold and pretty unsettled. And I'm not ruling out the chance that we might have a return of cold air from the north, actually, through the course of next week. It won't be as severely cold as it is right now, but probably enough to produce more snow into the second half of next week. So no sign of spring at this stage is the main message on this first day of spring, meteorological spring anyway, when it is brutally and severely and exceptionally cold, snowy across many parts of the country. Alright, got live chat from 6, 7 o'clock for Self and Quantum talking about this severe weather, so come back for that, then tune in from 6 o'clock. But that's all for now. Stay warm, stay safe. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.